So you delivered exactly what your contract promised. The client seemed thrilled, and then out of the blue, a month later, they demand a refund. What do you do? I'm Paige Griffith, attorney and CEO of The Legal Page, an online legal education platform and contract shop where we help small business owners like you get legally legit without all the overwhelm. Today, we are talking about one of the stickiest topics in business right now, refunds. Whether it's a client who cancels voluntarily, someone trying to strong arm you with a not happy excuse, threatens to leave a bad review if you don't give them a refund, or even a situation where you cancel on them. I'm going to walk you through what your contract should say and what your next steps should be. So let's talk about situation number one. A client cancels voluntarily. This is the most common scenario that you're going to see as a business owner, especially a service-based provider, when the client cancels. This is where your fee and retainer clause and your cancellation by client clause comes in. If your contract is written properly, your retainer should be clearly marked as non-refundable and tied to liquidated damages for reserving that date and turning away other work. Also, don't forget that additional payments should also be tied to milestones or services that have already been rendered. The translation here is that if your client cancels, you keep the non-refundable retainer and any fees for work already performed. Only unearned future work may be deemed refundable, but as long as your contract is clear, it's probably not going to be. Situation number two that we need to talk about is if a client says that they're not happy. And this is really a tricky one because a client who loved your work one day then decides that they're not happy the next. We're seeing this all the time with clients. If you've performed your work as promised and you can show proof, you are not legally obligated to issue a refund just because they change their mind. Sometimes what I found lately is that clients are just trying to recoup wedding or event costs this way, and I don't want you to fall for it as a business owner. This is why you need a really clear fee and retainer clause in your contract, and then you need additional language throughout that just mere dissatisfaction with your services if they have been rendered to perform adequately under the contract, that mere dissatisfaction does not equate to any type of refund situation. Ultimately, you want to make sure that your contract language does state that refunds are not provided once services are delivered. And if a client pushes back, I want you to stay calm. Always point them to the contract. Your contract can provide interference for you. That written agreement that you have needs to be the one you fall back on. It is your shield. Holding your ground as a business professional and business owner is the key here. I am consistently seeing clients trying to push and see if they can get away with it. But if you are a business owner that sticks to your laurels, falls back on your foundational contract, you will usually end up ahead of your clients here. Another pro legal tip is to always keep documentation. So any emails, signed deliverables, proof of services performed, that evidence is your best friend if the client escalates their unhappiness and continues down refund requests. Now let's talk about situation number three. If you, as a service provider, are canceling on the client, I just want to flip the script a little bit because this does happen. In almost every case, you usually owe them a full refund to put them back in the position that they would have been in had they never signed on with you. The only exception here is if you have already done substantial work and you can clearly show that value, think hours logged, editing, already delivered products or services, designs completed. In that case, you may be entitled to keep a portion of fees paid, but it needs to be spelled out in your cancellation of services by company clause. Your agreement should also include kind of a substitute provider clause in the case that you cancel. Basically, you can help them find a replacement at no extra cost. And this helps cover you if an emergency pops up. So, what should your contract say to prevent messy refund fights? At minimum, make sure that you have a fee and retainer clause that includes wording about non-refundable retainers with liquidated damages language, and then also try your best to tie payments to either booking or specific services that you're performing. Then you'll want a cancellation by client clause that clearly outlines when refunds are and aren't given, notice requirements in there on when they need to cancel by in order to not be on the hook for other payments in the contract, and that the retainer is non-refundable if they voluntarily cancel as the client. Then you'll also want a cancellation of services by company clause. And this is really just two different cancellation clauses, but it's really clear to the client, okay, if I'm voluntarily canceling, I'm going to the cancellation by client clause. If the company or my service provider that I signed on with is canceling, I'm going to a cancellation of services by company clause. And this one states your rights and terms for canceling services if a personal emergency comes up or you get injured, etc., and the client's options for a backup service provider or a full or partial refund beyond services that have already been rendered. Now, here is the step that most business owners miss. When a cancellation happens, whether it's you or the client pulling the plug, you should always use a cancellation contract, also known as a termination agreement. Why should you do this? Because it confirms in writing that the original contract is terminated and everyone is signing on to how you are settling that cancellation. So it spells out whether any refunds or partial refunds are due. It reinforces confidentiality about the terms of the cancellation, and it protects you from the client coming back later, trying to raise a new issue or even file a lawsuit. So, waiver of claims important in a cancellation or termination agreement. I have seen way too many times as a lawyer business owners relying on casual emails or texts or DMs when a client cancels, and that is not enough. It also can get really, really, really messy if you're just saying, yeah, sure, I guess I'll give you a partial refund. A cancellation contract is what closes the loop legally and keeps you protected as a business owner. So obviously, refund requests are very emotional as a business owner, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to what's in your contract, what work has been performed, and how you wrap things up. So to recap, if a client cancels on you, you can keep your retainer. If they claim that they're not happy, you point them to all of your no refund language in your client contract and your proof of work. If you cancel, you usually owe them some type of refund to put them in the same position that they would have been in had they not signed on to work with you, unless you can prove that you've already done substantial work and that is outlined in your contract. Ultimately, in every case, always, always, always close it out with a cancellation contract to protect yourself from lingering liability, and then also just solidifying the end of that business-client relationship and termination of the original contract and all of your obligations under that original contract so that you can book other clients. The good news is I have made this really easy for you. Over at the legal page, I have put together a cancellation contract bundle that includes attorney drafted templates for both situations, when you cancel and then when your client cancels. And these contracts help you handle all refunds properly, they prevent future lawsuits, and they enforce confidentiality, all while making sure that the process is smooth and professional. This cancellation bundle is completely customizable. It comes with my step-by-step video guide, and you'll get free updates anytime the law changes. I'll link my cancellation contract bundle below in the description of this video so that you can grab your copy and give yourself peace of mind. Thanks so much for watching this video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more legal tips.